there, and welcome everybody to another night of North American ESL Challenger League. We've made it to season 47. It's Bugs, and I'm joined with Pineapple Phillips here, as per usual. And Nate, it's always good to be back here, and it's another season with a whole new format, as we see up here on the screen. It's a bit interesting compared to previous seasons. It is double best of ones, double round robin, with the top 10 teams making it into playoffs. Only 2 teams getting relegated, with the bottom 3 above that in a relegation tournament. And of course, 1 team safe in ECL.
Only 1 team being safe, not a lot of respite, not a lot of time to take off for many of these teams. Of course, playoffs, relegation, relegated, and then that one coveted return to ECL next season spot, a little bit of safe harbor for a lower tier team. Now, this is the same overall format, if I'm not mistaken, from last season for playoffs and seeding going into playoffs. But as you mentioned, it's very different with that 2 best of 1 format. It's not a best of 3 for ECL. It's 2 distinct best of 1s. Now, they are played one right after the other, and we are having 2 best of 1s tonight between M80 and Wildcard. But it is not a best of 2. It is 2 best of 1s, and it cannot be the same map twice.
That's a good thing to note, is that it cannot be the same map twice in a row, which I think is a really good play, because in previous tournaments that have had best of one back-to-back, it can end up with the same map over and over again, and nobody wants to see that. You want to see some variety, different maps, and that really doesn't give you the best decider of which team is the better team on that particular day. You need some differentiation there, some different maps, and so we'll have 2 distinct maps in our best of 3 tonight. M80 versus Wildcard, as you see down there in the lower third. And I think we're going to go take a peek at our schedule. I know we have one more game after this one here. We have the schedule coming up on screen. So yeah, it's just M80, Wildcard now, and well, the one right after. So don't touch the dial, don't touch your tabs. Just keep it right here. We'll have all the games.
Yeah, there's nowhere for you to go. There's no other stream. You're stuck with us. You have to deal with it. Welcome in. We welcome you here. We're happy to have you here. We're happy to have nowhere else for you to go. Again, as you mentioned, 2 distinct best of 1s between M80 and Wildcard. The first one, we should have the vetoes coming up shortly. Again, M80 is the team that elected to ban second as the higher seed. And we do have the veto here. Ancient being taken out by Wildcard, Nuke by M80, followed by Anubis, then Overpass and Inferno being banned by Wildcard. The final ban of Vertigo to leave us on Mirage, one of the characteristic maps of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's a characteristic map of Counter-Strike. It's also a map that has become about as stale as month-old bread. So it's also interesting to me because Wildcard don't play Mirage unless they're playing, or M80 don't play Mirage unless they're playing Wildcard. So it's not a map M80 ever play unless they're playing this particular opponent. They have a 1-1 record on it. A solid CT side, just winning 2/3 of their rounds. Their T side under 50%. But their most recent win on the map, Nate, came on LAN at the RMR in Monterey. 13-5 is a pretty resounding victory.
A resounding victory, and of course, as you mentioned, over Wildcard, the only team that they pick it against. And that is a dominant performance, I should say. Again, on land, as you mentioned, at the RMR. Neither team qualifying, unfortunately. That was quite a brutal format, all things considered. But let's go ahead and go to our predictions for this first map. I think we had the same conclusion. Yes, we did. We both said M80, and there are some additional factors in addition to that most recent head-to-head. I think we should touch on them now. That is the fact that for this game, we don't know for certain, but it looks like it is a permanent movement. We will be seeing MOTM replace Infinite on the Wildcard roster.
Yeah, if we could look at the matchup real quick here and really get that on screen, because that is a big move, because Infinite's been around since this Wildcard roster was picked up by the organization. Infinite's been around the block a ton of times, but with a multitude of teams, and to see him step out either temporarily or permanently, we don't know. HLTV says permanent, but of course we haven't seen any announcements from teams or players yet. Wildcard are bringing in another guy who has been around the block in North America. I would say one of NA's proverbial journeymen in MOTM, Nate. And we know he has experience calling, opping, rifling, entering, lurking. He's done everything. And he'll bring some good stability to this team, but is it the change that they need to take it to the next level? Now is not really the time to make that decision, that final verdict, but it is a very interesting change as this is their first series in ECL this season.
It's a very interesting change, I think, coming out of the RMR after that disappointing failure to qualify. But again, it's a veteran for a veteran. Infinite has also been around the block quite a few times, so it'll have to see how well he slots in. It looks like this change was very recent. Again, officially, according to HLTV, it only happened yesterday. I'm wondering how long they've had to practice behind the scenes. I'd imagine quite a while. It's been a good minute since the RMR, but the team could have been taking a break and waiting to retool. So to me, there's a lot of questions up in the air. It might lead to their overall decision to play these more puggy maps in Barrage, for example. We do have the standings as well for this season thus far in ECL NA Season 47 coming up here shortly. I believe it might be Carpe Diem atop the board currently. Again, a lot of the teams really haven't been playing as of yet. Yes, Carpe Diem at the top 5-1, Lag closely behind at 4-2. Might, Mythic, Wildcard all below that. Again, a lot of teams have yet to play. M80, Boss, Party Astronauts, Nouns, NRG. A lot of the teams you'd expect as heavy hitters in this season of ECL have yet to play a match in this season.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot due to the fact that they were at the RMR, Nate. I mean, it's hard to play ECL matches when you're, facing off in the RMR, trying to make it to the major where there's very minimal slots and it's a double elimination. It's not your classic 3-series elimination that you have at every other, or at the big RMRs, I should say, like Europe. Because Asia, I think, had a very similar system to NA, but they only got about 4 teams or so at the RMR. That's a soapbox for a different time. But yeah, no M80, no Boss, no Party Astronauts, no Nouns, no NRG. The majority of those teams were already at the RMR. So they're going to get their ECL in now. So again, we can take a peek at that matchup and just have that confirmed that MOTM will be stepping in for Infinite here, which, as you mentioned, veteran for veteran, how much time have they had to tool? And that also brings me to something too, is the fact that M80 is currently without their in-game leader. Manx has stepped aside, and it's been well documented across interviews and Twitter posts that M80 are searching for a new in-game leader. Def, the coach, will be sitting in for them there. And I think the lack of the set in-game leader is a big part of why M80 didn't qualify for the major, because that is the one piece that they were missing, that one little bit of cohesion and firepower that cost them when it got down to the later stages.
Yeah, you say you think it might have been the reason. I think even the players agree. They said it in the interview. Swisher said, once we get that IGL back in and ready, a dedicated IGL, a player who's ready individually and to lead the team, then they will find their true identity. And right now, I'm sure they're searching far and wide for an answer. They are not against bringing players in, as we saw with Minx and, of course, Slacks. So I'm sure that M80 are casting a wide net to find a worthy addition to the roster.
And I think that's the key thing, too. A worthy addition. Don't just make a rush decision to pull somebody up, to just call somebody in for the sake of calling somebody in. Def is at the very least being serviceable at that role right now. Rushing into it means that you could get stuck with a decision that you need to change very soon. It's a waste of resources and time. Might as well just stick with the coach who knows the overall system, who has a wealth of experience in the game. And I think Def's doing a good job given the situation. But it's not ideal for M80. Now, will it be enough to give them a strong start in ECL? They still are a top contender in the region. I would put them at number 2 or number 3 in the region, still currently behind Complexity, who is the undisputed number 1. And I would put M80 and Liquid somewhere around the same part at 2 or 3.
Yeah, I would agree. And if there's a player you want Depp to replace, it would be, of course, the IGL. The coach.
Yeah.
Logically should be the IGL. We'll see. I have to see exactly how well that works out. He might lack a little bit individually in terms of performance, but of course he is or was a player at one point. He should be able to hold his own, especially against some domestic competition. And of course, he did prove that he could at that RMR. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And with that said, we do have the player to watch as well. Boggs and I chose to highlight not somebody we've talked about too much tonight, but it's JBA. Of course, he's been on Wildcard since they added that group of 4 players, that core to the roster. He's a young gun. He's a hungry player. Always love watching him play. There are players on both teams that can pop off and take control of this match, but JBA is one that we've had our eye on for quite a while.
Yeah, he's a great young prospect in the North American scene, being fostered well under this relatively experienced Wildcard roster. There's a lot of veteran presences around him. Stanislaw, for one. Infinite when he was on the roster, MOTM now, Sonic as well has played his fair share in domestic and international competition, so there's a good amount of experience behind him. Warden as the coach has been around in North America since the beginning pretty much. So for JBA, he's getting a lot of that veteran guidance and leadership. He's growing incredibly well as a player, and it's good to see how he did, particularly at a high pressure situation like the RMR, and I'm hoping he can grow on that. I think he'll be a key part to Wildcard if they are going to have any success versus M80 here in these two best of ones. But of course, on M80, you can't talk about M80 without talking about Mobs. And he's been a star since EPL Season 9.
Yeah, Mulbs, we've talked about it. How long will it be till he finds a team that he can really fit into, really set in with? And I think M80 has been a good home for him thus far. That duo that we've hyped up for since M80 started, really, Bugs, of Swisher and Mulbs. It is not disappointed. It's always done well. They have Slacks behind them as well. Rec, of course, now I don't know if we call him young anymore. He's still young, right? I remember watching young Rec back in the day, back when he went to his first LAN. I remember.
Or are we just old, Nate?
I think we're old. I do think we're old. Back in my day, I remember he had to meet one of my friends, or his parents had to meet my friend because he was going to Fragadelphia with them. That was his first LAN event. So I remember when Rec was young, not just young. He's still definitely a prospect, though. I'd say Rec is not as punchy or as flashy as a player like JBN necessarily, but he definitely serves his role well on M80.
Yeah, he's a great anchor. He's a great player that you can have faith that he's going to accomplish his job and his mission, and that's an invaluable asset to a team. And Rhett can pull off the impossible if he needs to as well. He has those moments where he can just show up and pull off some incredible individual plays. So M80 have a good core 4. They just need to find an IGL, but folks, that means we're not ready to get into our game just yet. We have a little bit longer until the players are ready to go, so we're going to cut to a quick break here. Get ready to go on Mirage for the first of 2 best of ones here in Season 47 of North American Challenger League. Don't touch that dial. Stay right here. Only one series. It's right here on ESL CS. And we'll be right back for map number 1.
best of ones, not a best of two. Knife to start the game. It looks like Wildcard won it, given the fact that they are on the CT side, and M80 immediately going for a play out towards B.
Classic B rush here on the pistol round right now for M80. Sonic, the only defender keeping an eye on things all the way back at Cat, does have support from MOTM as well. Those two played together back on ATK for a minute, but Sonic's taking a dink from Swisher all the way back. Bomb's going down, and it's retake time here for Wildcard. No reason why they wouldn't go for it, and as Swisher so astutely tweeted out earlier, it's always better to die before the bomb goes off because the terrorists get more money when the bomb goes boom. There goes Slight for the first onto Def. Malbs answers back, takes out JBA, but Stanislav picks off Rek coming in through Market. MOTM chimes in as well, just Slacks and Malbs. Slacks puts in work for one more, but they know where the last two players are. This creates some problems here for M80, trying to buy the time they need. Kit there for Stan. He's got the headshot. MOTM the other. And MOTM with a pair, Stan with a pair as well, and that's a pistol round victory for Wildcard. One minor problem, bomb down plus 3 kills for the T's.
That bomb down specifically gives them a lot of extra cash to work with for a potential force buy, which you have to assume is coming through. Rek immediately going for the Galil armor, as does Def. AK from Slacks being dropped over to Malbs, maximizing his potential, like the play. Again, we highlighted Malbs as one of the players to watch for M80 specifically. Slacks will get dropped a Scout, a Glass Cannon Scout, and Swisher will be on the classic Deeg armor with utility. This is a balanced buy. Sure, Wildcard have the advantage, but M80, a real chance to take a chunk out of the CT economy and potentially steal away the round as well.
Do you remember the days when Swisher would buy the Deagle on pistol rounds?
I do.
He loves that gun.
Infamously so.
I'm glad he stopped doing that, though, in all seriousness. Just because of the risk versus reward, the risk did not match up to the reward potential.
No, not worth it.
No. That aside, though, it's a pretty standard A walk here from M80 using what utility they have, which is not a lot. They've used it all with a smoke and a flashbang out. Stanislav's molly a bit too late, involves the smoke. It comes down to timing, and he catches Slight from behind. Malbs reveals his position, but Rek and Malbs will add a second to his tally. Sonic responds with a pair of his own out towards jungle, but takes significant damage from the Malbs before going down. Swisher still only has that Deagle out towards ramp, trying to recover a rifle. He might have better luck once the round timer expires, buddying up with Rek, watching the backside. Slacks up, and Palace has long-range angle with that Scout, but it's just time play here from M80, trying to see if they can come away with a nice, clean victory here. They've got their 2 dead, keep 3 alive, pick up a couple guns, particularly for Slacks and Swish. That's exactly the goal now. Rek's going with them to make sure those 2 rifles can be acquired. Upgrade there for Rek, drops that Galil. Slacks picks up an MP9, swaps over to the Galil, and save here from Wildcard. Sonic staying alive, and Slacks had no armor, so he goes down. No more Galil for M80 there, but I think they'll be happy with that response. And for Wildcard, they're going to have to make a pretty tough decision of how they're going to shuffle the money around.
Lots of individual initiative in that round from the M80 squad. We had Rek getting out ramp on a very solid timing, slipping by that Molotov, as you mentioned. And of course, Malbs pressing the issue through the smoke, finds the timing onto 1. That sets the round in motion from M80. Very well done once they find that opening by timing. Wildcard not going to let that kind of play come through again, though.
I like this fast push from JBA coming up behind. They don't know he's here. They're not ready for him. They haven't heard him. They will take him down, but the counter push through Market yields a pair for Sonic. It's an even 3v3 situation as Malbs and Swisher each finding one on that little apartments crunch from Wildcard. That's exactly the kind of response they needed to get into this game again and pull something off the lesser weaponry, the MP9s. Stanislav with the 1 remaining in hand for Blue, coming in towards jungle. And he'll take down Def, who is trying to watch the rat hole cross. That is a fight that his counterpart, the IGL and Stanislav, will have that fight. Rek's going for it, though, and he could get caught off guard here by Stan. It's all down to timing. Does Stan have the right angle? Rek's given a bit of a break to get that kill with minimal damage. And let's...
Unfortunate. Yeah, it was a big kill to find. OTM. A lot more to do, however. A wreck on the site, just can't do it. Two very opposite angles. Yields a round by MOTM's hand. A very solid start for him. Again, newly added to the roster. 4 kills thus far in this map. Very interesting bomb plant position as well for M80. It's not enough to get the round in their favor. Wildcard 2 on the board now. M80, by that bomb plant, they can try to hazard something together. It seems like the 4 spy wars have truly begun. And they will go for it as well. Wreck on an AK, Galil for Def. Slacks on a Mac 10, less than ideal. Mobs and Swisher, what are they going to cobble together? Deagle and a Galil are on the cards for that final pair.
Looks like it's back and forth 4 spy wars here, Nate. But Mobs with the Deagle is a scary proposition for anybody unfortunate enough to walk to his crosshair. Slacks can also move around fast with the Mac 10. The rivalry and the utility for Wildcard give them a significant advantage, and that's a nice little bit of nade work from MOTM. He's going to get charged down, but Sonic from Arches has a pair, goes for the 3K, gets supported from Ian out towards Van, and that's a mop-up in apartments, a murder scene up there. Only Def remaining, trying to recover something out of this round, just some economic damage, but it looks assured that Wildcard will finally string something together and look to go up 4-1 after this round is converted in their favor. Def walking, creeping forward, spotted, and eventually removed by Slight. And that is as clean of a round on Nap's play as you can get for Wildcard. Great work there from Sonic at Arches, and MOTM combining well with his former teammate. Doesn't look like Wildcard are having much of a problem slotting their new man in.
No, they are not. Again, off to a very hot start for him. Sonic leading the board for his team as well. They keep 5 rifles up in that round. They win the second in a row, and they send M80 saving, send them packing. Wildcard are now truly in the driver's seat in the early goings of this first half. Just a couple Deagles and Glocks to challenge in round number 5. Can't expect too much from them either. JBA, player we chose to highlight, yet to really leave his mark on this map. I've seen some confident play from him thus far. Stanislaw is the one to start this round off, though, dropping his counterpart in Def on the other side. I mean, he should just fall like dominoes. They're kind of spread out, looking for kills, looking for timings, hoping to sow some chaos, but especially with Glocks, what can you really do? Wreck, the only one now with a Deagle in hand, should be the only one able to find any sort of impact. I say that, Stanislaw does not have a helmet.
He does not have a helmet, but still it's a double tap from the Glock at range, and he deals with the Deagle astutely, so that's no longer a threat. More contact, Slacks gets caught, Swisher's a dead man out in the middle, surely. One way or another. They're going to find him. They're going to get him. And it's Sonic. Slacks runs out. Just trying to end the round. There's JBA's opener of this game. But now, Nate, we can finally get into some actual Counter-Strike. Full-on rifle rounds. We don't have to worry about broken buys, minimal... Well, we still have to worry about minimal utility on M80, but overall, this is about as close to a real proper Counter-Strike round as you could hope for. One thing, too, for M80, they need to get some frags on the board. Only Mobs has above 2. He has more kills than his entire team combined. They have 4. Swisher and Slacks on 1, Wreck on 2, Def with a goose egg. Meanwhile, Sonic alone has 8, Stan has 6, MOTM 5 and 0, but JBA goes hunting in Palace, and he gets booted out of his throne. Wreck to reign supreme up top for now. As the bomb is dropped back C as M80 look to default around the map, get some general control, and play for picks, which they've already been successful at for the first engagement. This triple up in mid, however, this could pose a bit of a problem for M80 when they eventually want to make a move.
Could. Wildcard setup is very interesting. A player in window and 2 very aggressive on A, 1 holding ramp, or peeking ramp, I should say, and a second on balcony. Sonic, I believe he's on balcony. He could be below, I suppose. But M80, they've disassembled that stack towards middle. They've gotten Mobs, into position top con. We've seen him play here before. It was in that second round with the AK. It'd be a linchpin in this round as well. Stanislaw spotting ramp. Molotov in hand. Here's the drop. They'll throw it. Smart call. Don't overextend. So a very cautious standstill at this stage.
Bulbs with the entry on the Stanislaus. Still Sonic here in hell, looking to get some kills from underneath, missing everything on Deft. How have they not gone for him? How? How have they not turned? Sonic finally falls. Slack sprays for good measure. Slight is still stuck at ticket booth, but good lord, Nate, how do they not realize that the spray is coming from Dark?
Was that a ping issue? I'm going to say, I think it has to be. But all the shots on that first spray missed, and then Slack sprayed the body for like a solid 5 seconds.
I have no idea.
Very awkward end to the round. Wreck makes that fight succinct and clean versus Slight, but yeah, a lot of questions there. With Sonic under the balcony, we do see a pause. I'm going to assume it was a technical problem. That looked like a decent problem for sure.
Let's see if I can get an update here on what's going on.
This is really the worst timing ever for some sort of technical issue to occur. Because a spray from under balcony in that kind of situation could have definitely tipped the scales into Wildcard's favor, because Sonic had 2 lined up, 2 dead to rights, realistically speaking. Even a third if he could reset the spray.
He should not have had that much trouble with the kill on Def. Like, Def was standing still, not moving, and nothing was connecting. That's unusual for him. And yeah, it's a pause for Sonic to get that issue fixed, because that did not look normal.
No, I'm sure both sides are wondering what happened there. Very unfortunate. It sounds like we got a little bit of time on this technical pause, ladies and gentlemen. But Wildcard, while they did have the early start, the early advantage, M80 are still showing a lot of signs of progress and promise. I will say a lot of M80's strategy requires getting Mulbs set up, getting him in connector, getting him in that power position to set off the A play. That was how they won the first round. That's how they won their second round. And now we'll have to see if Wildcard have any counterplay to that.
But that also brings up a problem, too, for M80. If their entire strategy is predicated upon Mobs getting into connector and getting a pick, what are they going to do when he doesn't?
What are they going to do when they can't?
Exactly. They need to have a lot more depth tactically on this T side. Granted, the only team they ever play Mirage against is Wildcard, but you have to have something a little deeper than that. You can't just rely on one player to get into one position, because then, too, your opponents can hard read that. Yeah, okay, cool, we dealt with him. They have no teeth now. But we're back, and so is Sonic and Slight. We've got the double boomsticks coming out in round number 7 here, just past the halfway point of the first half, the quarter mark in this game. And a double op set up right off the rip. That is a bold call from Wildcard. No op at all to counter for M80 and for Slacks. And again, a lot of mid-presence from M80 here. Are they ready for that op? Where's the second op playing? Sonic's playing very aggressive in Palace with it, trying to counter Wreck or anybody else running through.
Let's go Cat.
Yeah.
A late Cat play. I thought he might have been window smoked out. I'm going to go support towards B. I can respect the call.
I like Sonic positioning.
I do as well, putting an op on it towards A and towards B. Actually, it's holding connector. This is the perfect position for Slight. Call out Mulbs. That was what we said was the key plan for Wildcard, or should be the key plan for Wildcard. Catching out the star and setting him up to hold connector for that exact play. Good thinking from the CT side.
Very quick read and adaptation from Stanislaus' troop. And look at the crunch with JBA as well, or actually it's Stanislaus in con, just ready to explode. The op shot from Slight misses. Def gonna push the issue, flamed away, and that will burn some time. MOTM getting singed, goes down very low to 30, but Mulbs gets the entry on Stanislaus, looking for more. Swisher up in apartments, deals with Slight on catwalk. MOTM, he gets one over the top, but Swisher has to trade. Flames engulfing the site, no bomb planned yet for M80, as it's in the hands of Wreck, finally going down 2 left for Wildcard, but with the investment of the double op, it's a save for Sonic and JBA backing away. Sonic overflicks on that little jiggle on Cat, and he's going to have to back away. Def will get out of there scot-free, who has still yet to open his account in this game here, Nate. But it's not concerning the M80 too much. They're one away from a tie ball game, and there will not be double ops for Wildcard this time. And with the way Sonic's been rifling, I honestly don't hate him staying on the rifle. I think it's probably better. He's got the bulk of their kills, primarily with the automatic rifle. Just give the op to Slight, let him do his thing, and stick around and get the job done with the M4s, with the AK, if you can pick one up.
Yeah, I would respect that call as well. I'd say it's ideal. But a little bit concerned, both oppers missing their shots in that round. We had Slight on Catwalk, missing the shot on a depth as he swung first. We had that shot from Sonic, holding for exits towards Catwalk, also a missed shot. So we'll have to see if these players can warm up sooner rather than later. We do see it drop to Slight, as you mentioned, would be the ideal. We do see that come through. MOTM compromising on an MP9. Everybody else has rifles. There's a kit. There's an okay utility. This is still a solid investment from Wildcard. M80 do have an op as well in play for Slacks, along with AKs to complement. Another rifle buy, in essence.
This default from M80 is becoming a very consistent theme. 1 in apps, 2 or 3 mid, Palace player, a very passive ramp hold this time from Rec. But I think Wildcard are also figuring it out that they don't need to push. They don't need to go for info. M80 are basing most of their play on getting mobs out middle and working off of that pick, which is exactly what M80 is doing, leaving mobs alone in middle, working out A, and letting Mob get the pick. He's going to telegraph that with the Molotov and Con. Rex coming through Palace, but he's getting watched. JBA's got him. That's a missed shot from Slide as now the injury comes through. The crunch on A. Mob still yet to make a play. Here comes Depth, though, and he'll spray through that smoke, taking out JBA. Slight now with one more on the side, burning behind. Triple escapes into the smoke. 4v3 in the favor of Wildcard. Slacks, no response. Mobs yet to make his presence fully known. Creeping forward, Slight to 1 HP. Perfect nade, flash in, stand not blind. Slacks on the angle, Maul spots the elbow, and down goes the in-game leader of Wildcard. The last 3 players stuck in CT. Slacks gets that bomb down to dirt. Still have Palace control as well in the form of Wreck. Slacks in the sandwich position is almost a one and done. He's got to hit a quick shot on somebody crossing through that little gap he has. Tosses a Molotov to belay any pushing. Falls back, looks over top, gets caught jumping. Wreck loses that spray fight. He's still got health. Sonic, though, over the top of the smoke, deals with Slacks as he could not connect his shots. Mob's on Con. It is planted for him. And Wreck, they know where he is. He's already been damaged. He's engaged. Wreck out. Mobs with 1, but he's got to deal with 2 more. He might have bought enough time, however. Slacks on the, or rather, Sonic on the bomb, and Mobs has the second 2. Finishes off. Slight goes down with the bomb. And we got a tie ball game here at 4-4 with only 3 rounds to go in this first half. This one, or 4 rounds, excuse me, but this one is getting very, very close now, Nate. And the money situation is now favoring M80 as they have plenty of cash. And Def has just made the perfect buy call for this kind of a round.
Yes, he has. Back 10, harvest it up, build up that economy. It a dip into the coffers. Everything that they won in that round now has to be reinvested because everybody fell in that round, of course. Well, we do have some confirmation as well. We have pings all over the place in this server. So this is going to be an interesting one. If we see some randomness, if we see some wacky hijinks, perhaps some shots that maybe don't land, we know why. It's because we have a lot of players with a lot of different pings. So we're going to roll with it. If you notice it, you know, it's kind of how it is sometimes.
It do be like that sometimes, and that's some good molly damage going the way of Wildcard. Mobs is doing this well on very high ping, which is not surprising. It's Mobs, he's used to it, but still. It never ceases to amaze me how well he's able to perform with high ping. Def doesn't clear deep enough, and so he can get caught from behind. Instead, he just posts up on Tetris, knocks down Sonic. Slacks in the meantime, spots some heads, goes for a spray, gets 1, looks for the second, but Mobs has his back for 2 more. Only 1 casualty. The AK, though, I don't believe will be picked up by Def. And so he'll have a MAC 10 into the next round. A timeout used by Wildcard here as we get into the dying embers of this first half. And you need to get yourself a solid CT side out of Mirage, Nate, for M80, a 66.7 win rate, equivalent to 2/3 on the CT side. And for Wildcard, just 51.3, 54.2 on the T side. But when you're looking at an M80 side that has such a stellar defense, and it all comes against Wildcard, I think they need a little more than 4 or 5 rounds.
It's a safe assumption, I would say. Pressure's on. You can tell attack pause coming through. They have that op again in the hands of Slight. He's had a very quiet first half. We'll have to see if he can wake up with that sniper in hand once again, if he can redeem his last couple outings with that weapon. M80, not even trifling the sniper rifle this time around. 4 AKs and that MAC-10. You mentioned it was kept by Def. This time it's in Swisher's hands. That's a very interesting call. And an early stack, an early set play perhaps on the cards for M80. Not even going for that Mobs middle play. They just have Swisher to throw a bit of a fake out towards B. Op at ramp, does not miss the opener this time around. Slight finds one. Swisher does pull off the fake with a single kill, but he's quickly traded thereafter. The Wildcard know what's up. They know it's going to be an A play now.
They have JBA creeping all the way through mid. 2 players up. Khan, the flashes, though, allow Def to get close for 1. He strikes on the second on a crouching JBA. Did deal with Wreck in the meantime. Slight goes for the op shot. Has the first. Does not catch Def through the Molotov, however. And that leaves it to a 1v1. IGL versus IGL, but there's a hefty advantage favoring Stanislaw, and that is the HP. Not to mention his position. Def is not ready for this at all. He's looking all the wrong places. Might even say he's looking for love in Alderaan places, Nate, because he has not checked T-Ramp once. Now he does. But Stanislaw has time in his favor. He just has to wait it out, play the sound cues. And Def now abandoning the A site, playing exactly into Stanislaw's hands. Def, he had a quiet start, but it's his time to shine. At least get the bomb down. Stan's creeping out onto the A site now as time dwindles down to 24 seconds. Def looking to plan on B. Stanislaw getting all the information. Def, a little bit of a pathing error there. Making his long, arduous way to the B site. Gambles to run it in. And plans very wide open here. Where will he play in the post, though, is a big question.
He has to keep his post plant position open. He has to think about...
He's playing trash can? Or is he in the, he's in the doorway?
He's in the doorway. He has to play. He has to plant in an open spot so that he has to clear all the angles. He's not going to win a fair duel. With that HP, not a chance in the world. Stanislaw almost clears him out. He almost did win it, but again, I feel like it's because Stanislaw had so many angles to clear. Regardless, Stan narrowly wins the duel of the IGLs and ties us up. That tack pause proving to be worth it. The issue is Wildcard aren't out of the woods yet. Money's still quite low. They have to reinvest everything. It's going to be an arduous journey forward, and Slacks, he is going to bring the op out for the T side.
Slacks will have his op. Hopefully that means no more crouch peeking ops at ticket booth from M80. But Wildcard will not have an op. As mentioned, their economic situation, not great. So a FAMAS for MOTM, an MP9 for JBA. Only 2 defuse kits, only 2 Molotovs for the CT side. I will say, though, the FAMAS is not that bad in CS2. It is not that bad.
Keep saying
Slight, however,
bad.
Lets the AK do its work out mid. Down goes Malbs, and that's always a key part to winning a round against M80. Swisher's getting boosted up into middle through window. Nobody's watching for this. It's silent. He might just slip the gap. Sonic now keeping an eye on things. The contact made for the first. Sonic has the trade. Def, however, trades out onto Stanislaw, leveling things back out to a 3v3 and incurring further wrath as he swings on towards the A site. Sonic and Sandwich might just get gobbled by the IGL. However, he wins that fight. Slacks takes the op and strikes, but Slacks is not ready for Sonic yet. He'll toss a little pop flash high. Wreck comes in from behind, though, and Sonic's down for the count, all up to MOTM, the new acquisition for Wildcard, whether temporary or permanent. That remains to be seen. He still is the new guy on the block. Blows up that smoke, does not spot anything, however, and will now back away in towards Sniper's Nest. Does he save as Wildcard are broke? Or does he go for the 1v2? It is winnable, especially if we can catch a timing here, but Wreck might just hear him stomp, or Slacks rather might hear him stomping away. Slacks has heard it. He knows exactly what's going on. He does not miss on that peak. Nice little play from Slacks. And so M80 set themselves up for at least a 50% win rate on the T side, and a very good opportunity to take this half 7-5, as Wildcard are broke.
Destitute, no choice but to force. Gotta invest. Backs against the wall in this final round of the first half. 5-7. I love the investment from MOTM. I love that pistol. MP9's of Hamas and M4. No kit. There's some utility here and there, though. Only MOTM or JB. I guess if they left the helmets, it wouldn't really matter. They get one more piece of utility, so no kits in play. No kits could have been in play, given the weapons they invested into. Slacks boosted up towards middle with the does not get the opening. MOTM does. 5-7 in towards apartments, up close, gets one, grabs an AK, presses forward. That's a lot of map control and a lot of information now for Wildcard.
That's exactly what you do with 5-7, though. Just grab a gun upgrade. It's a very lethal gun at close range, the one-shot headshot, and it's got a very fast fire rate, too. This little smoke play between Def and Sonic is a bit of a predicament, though, especially if Def loses this duel, which he does not. That's a good headshot from the IGL. MOTM pushes forward and is saved by the wood wall there. As Def would have put 2 bullets in him without any wood in the way, MOTM would have been a dead man given his health. Slides pushing all the way through ramp, however, and this is the information that Wildcard need to try and steal away this round from M80, and that is why that second kill was so important for MOTM to achieve. It enables this push from behind. Slacks might be watching for it, however. He's made noise. Now he's going to get caught out in the open by Slight. That should torpedo this round for M80. Wrecking Mobs left alive. The bomb discovered by Slight. JBA might have even spotted Mobs going in through snipers as well, as he seems to be hot on the trail. Indeed he is. All up to Wreck now in a 1v3. Needs a 4K. Runs right into MOTM. He's dead. 9-9 Wreck. 6-6 half. We'll be back after the break in just about 3 minutes.
Tied ball game as we enter the second half. 6 apiece for Wildcard and M80. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs to bring you the action. And M80 now on their favored side. The defense, as you mentioned, about a 2-3 win rate on rounds on this side. That won't stop JBA, though, from finding the entry out towards B. Up Catwalk 3 come, out Apartments 2 more fly. And as a free bomb plant and an advantage going into the post plant.
M80 are going to go for the retake here, but it's going to be a tougher one than it was for Wildcard, where they had an even footing in MOTM. Domes one more, as the entry has not even happened yet for M80. Swisher takes a dink, runs out, falls to the ground. Looks to be flawless here for Wildcard, as they only have one left standing against them. And MOTM, a pair of pistol rounds, leads Wildcard to victory and a tenuous one-round lead. M80 going for an investment here, though, as Def goes right in for a scout. Malbs, Deagle Armor, Rec follows suit. The rest of the M80 squad, besides Slack, should probably be investing. Rec elects to go for the 5-7. Swisher joins him, so does Slack. So actually, 5-7's preferred by M80 than the Deagles. Swisher, the one to look to save for the... Never mind. He'll go for a scout. Late decision there, an interesting choice as well. Don't often see Swisher on the $1,700 tag him and bag him, but Malbs, Swisher, and Def all find 3 for the price of 1. Malbs the only one to fall. They know where MOTM is, and now it's Slack's turn to swing. He'll do a boatload of damage, but Slight has also taken out one more 2v2. No scope from Def's scout, will not connect. Know where Slight is. Swisher dealt with the first. Slight looks for the headshot. No scope from Def to close out the round. We're tied at 7. M80 might lose the pistol, but they win the force spy, and arguably that's a better situation to be in.
On the CT side especially. Grab that Galil as an upgrade for Def. Again, he had a slow start to this map. He was the coach taking up the mantle of IGL. Do not envy him whatsoever, but he is making a game of it for himself. He got a couple ecos to get the ball rolling, and he's now, second frag for the team at 10 kills. He wins that round with the no-scope headshot, as you mentioned. He also found a second earlier on with that scout. Very well done to find that impact. And Wildcard, while they are going for the force spy, they lack a lot of teeth because they did not get that bomb plant.
Really well done from M80 to just use numbers to their advantage. Def ball in, and Def with the finishing move with that headshot. Absolutely incredible from the coach. Malbs takes a dink, and so he'll have to fall away. Long range with the MP9. Not really going to benefit him against P250s, Deagles, or even Tech 9s. Rec does farm a pair, however. MOTM finally takes down the low HP Malbs. Slacks will get a little bit of bank with the $600 kill reward and move around as the bomb is out top con. Neither Slight nor MOTM in position to really get possession of it. Now Slight stuck in connector, having to fight his way out, being boxed in from both sides. Will look to do more damage. He'll be successful with at least one more. Rec, however, has himself a round 2, farms up those eco frags with the 4K, and gets M80 back into the lead here. Nate, you said that Def got that little streak of his started with a couple of ecos. Ecos are the easiest way to build confidence. Don't let anyone ever tell you eco frags aren't important. It can change a round, it can change a game for a player, because somebody who's had no luck gets some confidence. And then you can see what Def does and gets a headshot with a scout no-scope. He doesn't do that if he doesn't have confidence from getting those eco frags.
Absolutely. And the confidence is the biggest key there for Def. Play your game. Be confident in it. They're making good reads as well. Of course, that clutch play failed versus Stanislaw, but still, the read was there. The play, the confidence was there.
He almost won that fight, too, against a full HP player.
Yeah, if he set his crosshair a little bit higher, if he hit the headshot, it would have been over in the blink of an eye. Speaking of the blink of an eye, it looks like Wildcard will be losing the round, but not before they get the bomb plant. That's honestly the best case in a round like this. Very good sneak out from Slight in towards Palace to get that bomb down. Doesn't alter the outcome of the round. It doesn't even get him a kill, but it gets them that extra cash required for a full rifle buy going into round 17.
Plenty of money, but running out of racetrack, our Wildcard. They do have the op for Slight, but now Slacks can defend with his big green gun. AK's on the rest. Slight the only one lacking utility. Def still has a Galil, which is not as bad as it seems when you consider the fact that Slight doesn't have a helmet. course, you would rather have an M4 over a Galil and an AK over an M4, but it's not worth the investment. He can drop an op over to Slacks. They lose the round or win narrowly. There's plenty of things he could do instead of investing over that Galil. That's a nice little smoke play from Mulbs to get the opening kill. And that drops that op down too. Sonic the one to pick it up, but most of his success has been done with the rifles.
Won't stop him.
That's
though.
a nice answer.
Yeah, up the catwalk, evening things up. Back to 4-piece. MOTM also a power position in towards connector. Mob spamming away, but this is the mark. The newly added player will fall out of connector. Where will they go? Up catwalk appears to be the call. They have a player in towards apartments. Throw the utility, and here comes the play. The issue is Swishers and Ladder. He's found one. He spotted the second with the bomb. Sonic will get the trade and bring things back to even footing. He'll double down, in fact, dropping one towards A. The op of Slacks will chime in for one, but the op of Sonic is still lurking, and that player in apartments as well is never mind. Mulbs and Slacks combining for it all. The last alive is Sonic on low HP. He's found a gap, though. Found a timing. He hits the shot, but doesn't get the kill. Just the leg on the Slacks. And that will give M80 the opening they require. 10-7 as they're looking to put this first map to bed. Only 3 rounds separating them from victory in this best of 1.
And it's probably going to be 2 pretty quickly here, as Wildcard will be on nothing but a half buy. Just some Tech 9s, maybe some armor, and a smattering of utility scattered about for the T's. Not an ideal situation at all. Slight with nothing but a P2, Fitty, and some util. Tech 9s on the rest, armor on the rest as well, helmets on 2. But an AK in the hand of Mulbs, M4s and an op across the rest. Slacks beginning to heat up, same with Swisher. Mulbs all the way top middle. He knows Stanislaus there, and that's a freebie for Mulbs, who will get his kill and back away. Up catwalk as he hears calls for reinforcements from Swisher trying to anchor B. He backs away, but he cannot take down MOTM as well. Takes him down to 1/4 of his health, but not all the way. Ian holding around Market, watches his teammates fall around him as he hides in that smoke, looking for a cheeky kill. But Rex hunting, it's MOTM, the last standing. That's a good little repost by Rex. Bomb plant is, I guess, the best case scenario there for Wildcard. At least they get that extra cash, but they only got 1 round of grace because they lose 2. It's GGWP, and we're on to Inferno.
Pressure mounting. This would be a great time to call a tactical timeout. They have some left, if I'm not mistaken.
They should have 2.
Yeah, and they should have gotten damage in that round as well. They got out of apartments. That's the major choke point. They had a majority of the forces still standing when the bomb hit dirt. And Tech 9s at that range are very deadly. I could have hoped for a bit more in that round. Hoped for a real chance, but M80 didn't rush into things. Played it cool, calm, and collected, and that's what yields a very solid round in their favor. As you mentioned, 2 rounds separating M80 from victory here on the first. And aggression is the call for Rek and Mulbs, both towards ramp. They'll combine for 1. The issue is Slacks immediately falls to a Molotov in window to bring us back to even footing.
I think he got tagged too, which is why he burned so fast. That and the fact that it takes so long to get the smokes down and to extinguish the Molotov here down pretty significantly before that smoke even pops up anyways. Slacks a little unlucky, caught in the corner. And so M80 start down a man here. I guess it's even footing at the very least, but they've abandoned B. And this is the critical thing. It's all down to timing here. But Mulbs and Rek, they pushed ramp. Now they're rotating back to the open B site. And Wildcard have taken too long. They've lost their advantage, the surprise. Now the utility runs in. M80 know what's up. Rek and Mulbs here to ruin the day for Wildcard. However, Rek gets caught. Mulbs tagged down to 6 HP. He'll swing and try to buy time. He'll win that first fight on Stanislaus, who baits him out with a peek. MOTM from bench will deal with the Guatemalan superstar. But the bomb's still yet to go down, and Def and Swisher can try and find their way back in. Swisher creeping through apartments too. It's all the timing! But Slight moves at the right moment to take down Swish. All up to Def now. He's had his moments, he's had his trials, and he's overcome them a few times. Gets spotted by 1. Cannot deal with the op, he's still alive. Runs out of ammunition, so he would have been dead on the second try anyway, but Slight puts him to bed. 3 rounds separating these 2 teams, but more than enough money for M80 to reinvest into this next round. Wildcard are not to safety yet, and M80 can get the op back in the hands of Slacks and try to get back to their winning ways before they end up shopping at the thrift store just to try and scrounge together a buy.
It's unfortunate for Mobs and Rec there as they entered in that beast bomb side. I think Mobs was spotted and then dinked through Rec. And so theoretically Stanislaw should have known he was there, but again, them lining up so perfectly was just incredibly unfortunate. As you mentioned, a buy for M80 still in their hands. They can even get another one after this if required. Wildcard are putting a lot of emphasis now on middle. Op is present in towards Palace, but 2 underpass, 1 top mid, and 1 ramp now falling back, presumably to get that bomb. Mulbs could be the one to open the round. A good swing, an off angle, and Mulbs and Swisher both pass the test, dropping the player, bench dropping the player off in an off angle down below window. 2-man advantage secured, and that might just be what breaks Wildcard in this first map.
That's a well-timed double peek there from Mulbs and Swisher. Swish from Cat, Mulbs from Con. Swisher made that first contact, instant Reese peek from Mulbs, and an easy farm for those two. Mulbs as well as 23 kills. He's almost at a 2.0 KD, and almost at double his teammates. Swisher, however, will finish off Sonic. Stanislaw gets mollied out of Con, too, as he tries to avoid death at the hands of Swish. Slide has the op in Palace, and there's not much he can do to influence this round, especially with 30 seconds on the clock. It's a pretty rough time for Wildcard here, as just as they get some sort of footing, it gets taken out from beneath them again. The trapdoor activated, and M80 with match point here in the not too distant future. Will there be any kills after time is now the next question. Slide spotted. Rec gonna run down the opper. Tries to go crazy, but Slide hits the no-scope. In comes the repeat from Mulbs, who gets Slide after time. Block. That is brutal. 400 bucks. Oh, Stanislaw is lucky to get out of that one as Def falls to the headshot. But Def again just almost close, but no cigar on those kills against Stan. But Slight with nothing. Now the timeout comes through from Wildcard, but I can't help but feel that it's a little bit too late for Wildcard right now.
Definitely is. They're going to use this time to talk out the buy. Slight, as you mentioned, on $400. They dropped a scout to do something with. Also buy a smoke, because why not? What else can you buy with $400? Molotov?
Yeah.
Smoke's most useful.
Smoke is way more useful.
Galil for MOTM, lacking utility on Stanislaw. Backs against the wall in a very literal sense for Wildcard, as they're just trying to stay alive for what would be 4 rounds in a row to get to overtime. That is a long ways away, though. Might as well be infinitely far away at this stage. M80, their tactical and calculated aggression has been paying off both on the CT and T side. The way they use Mulbs to his fullest extent, whether it be pressuring alone or as part of a unit. M80 pivoting around him has been so solid. Wildcard, though, won't go without kicking and screaming.
Swisher goes out alone, and he pays the price. Mulbs can't help him out. Smoked off in window, and now Wildcard swarm towards the A site. Rec has the first from Ticket. Stan's going to go for the fight, but his little nade smoke combo doesn't really work out too well. Rec continues to spray as the bomb goes down. Mulbs in jungle. That Molotov should not touch him. It goes a little bit too deep. Over top a Ticket, however. Rec will find a second, and he'll go to reload. Mulbs 1 for 1, traded by JBA. Just 2 players left for Wildcard here with plenty of time to defuse for the CT side. Stanislaw lets one go. Def does not check him. Stan makes his play. Rec now next in line. Wins that fight. 1 HP. All up to JBA now. Slacks from behind. Rec searching. Slacks runs in. JBA traded out by Rec, who runs to defuse. He has the kit and the quad and the map. And the match for M80. Rec Monster comes up big in the end, and Nate, we mentioned him a little bit in the pre-show, how Rec, he's a very reliable player, he's a good anchor, and every once in a while he comes up with a big round. He did that there to seal the deal, as M80 take the first of our 2 best of ones tonight, 13-8 on Mirage, and that's with a couple players on high ping too. That's a pretty impressive result for M80.
Yeah, it's a very solid result. A lot of players doing what you'd expect. Malb's doing Malb's things, whether as part of the team or on his lonesome. As I mentioned, he is a very versatile player and can get himself into the thick of it or get put into the thick of it by his squad. Rek and Swisher doing what was required. Def, as we touched on, a slow to start, but still having solid impact. The only player, quote unquote, struggling was Slacks, and of course, that's a ping issue. Best player, we're going to pull that up now, of course. It is Malbs. What would you expect? 25 kills and 13 deaths, a 1.92 KDR, almost crossing that 2.0 KD as you mentioned, and 126 ADR is quite a statement on the opening map of the evening.
That's why Malbs is Malbs. He's been fantastic. He's very good on the aggressive plays. He's a very intelligent player as well. And when you utilize him in the right way, your team will succeed. Getting some help from players like Swisher and Rek as well, and some of those timed aggression plays on that CT side really allowed him to thrive, and a lot of his teammates to thrive as well. Because if one guy draws the information that both guys get their kills, it's going to be easy for everybody. And M80, despite some bumps in the road, relatively made that one look easy. And you got to give your hat off to Def, too, who had a very impressive performance on Mirage coming in. He's the coach. He's been getting a lot of reps as a player now, but that's not the role he aspires to be in anymore. He wants to be helping grow these players from behind the keyboard and mouse. But he stepped up in a big way, and I think a big portion, too, that turned the tide in that second half was that no-scope scout play from Stairs that won him the second round of that half.
Yeah, I would agree. I think honestly, the no-scope from the scout really does give them that X factor, got the ball rolling. And honestly, I would say Def has slotted in as best as you could ask for a coach. The question is, will he rally the team around him on the second map, much like he did on the first? It's a lot of questions. We'll have to see if he can when we return from the break. See you then. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs to bring you the action in the second best of one of the evening. Keep in mind, this is not map 2. This is the second best of one of the evening. 2 disparate ban cycles. Of course, that first map being Mirage, and of course, a second set of bans leading us to Inferno as the second and final map of the evening, no matter who takes it.
That is very true, but Mirage was definitely a case of two halves really for both teams, where you had M80 struggling going back and forth, and now, the second half they dominated. But here we have our vetoes. We'll take a peek at those now and see how when we get to Inferno. No Mirage, of course, allowed to be banned, so as you see, it's grayed out there. Nuke Anubis banned by M80. Ancient and Overpass removed by Wildcard. Again, M80 not wanting to play Vertigo. And so we go to Inferno. A 1-1 record for M80 against Wildcard on this map. A win against Liquid most recently. But for Wildcard, they do have a 2-0 record against Nouns as well. 1-1 against NRG. They played a lot more than do M80. 6-4 record. Middling CT success. In fact, I would say on the poor side at 48.1%. But 51.3% on the T side's not too shabby.
Yeah, it's become a rather T-sided map again. I think the thing that leads into that is the simple fact there's no more skyboxes to bounce utility off of. Buildings are a lot taller. There's no skyboxes. That makes things a lot more difficult to line up. There have been alternatives found, but especially for those B executes, they aren't nearly as impactful as you would hope. Now, talking about this matchup, I think the biggest takeaway, the biggest indicator to me, Boggs, is the simple fact that they played it at the PGL RMR as the deciding map, and it was a dominant victory, 13-3 on Inferno to win that series overall, and I believe to eliminate Wildcard as well. And for that reason alone, I think we both predict M80 because they have that most recent victory. We have that recent roster change for Wildcard. It feels like things are just simply stacked against them coming into this map.
And it's not like MOTM played bad either. In fact, he was one of their better players in that last game. But just everything, you get both of these two teams at their best, and M80 should win. You get both of these two teams in the situation where they're both still waffling around, but there's more stability for M80. They still have the significant advantage. Not to mention that RMR matchup. 13-5, 13-3, Mirage and Inferno respectively. And I think all the statistics, all of the intangibles as well with the roster changes, all do favor M80 in the long run and the short run. So that's why we both picked it there. I don't think that you could really pick Wildcard if you just look at it objectively.
Yeah, I'm always open to being surprised, pleasantly so, I would dare say, if Wildcard find a way to upset in this best of one. But I think the stats, the history, and of course that recent change really do just paint a one-sided picture, I think is the best way to put it. It doesn't paint Wildcard in a bad light. It just paints them as a team that need more experience to challenge the likes of M80, who have been on the come-up for a while, who have been at this echelon, this tier, and who have been dominating the domestic competition for quite a while at this stage.
That's the other thing, too. M80 is a team that goes toe-to-toe with Liquid in its current state that can take complexity to 3 maps at occasion. And M80 is a team that, when they have an actual IGL in the lineup that's not the coach, they are a team that can threaten to do some damage on the international stage as well. Not, of course, going to be a team that you'd look to make a playoff run, but they can take out a team or two. They can do some damage on the international stage. And Wildcard is nowhere near that point just yet. You probably have a couple of teams between M80 and Wildcard just on a domestic standpoint alone. So for M80, they do come into this as the heavy favorites. And one thing I think they've learned as individuals, especially from Hobbs and Swisher, being on teams that are underdogs, being on teams that are favorites, you have to play every single game like you are the underdog. You have to have that chip on your shoulder. And that's something that M80 showcased in that last game. They got scrappy at times, but overall, they just played their game, they played their style, and they had the confidence that what they needed to do would work.
Yeah, you have to play hungry, I think is the best way to put it. You can't play down to your opponents. You have to play your own game, and you have to be playing it to win. And as you mentioned, I think the seniority on this M80 team, that duo of Mobs and Swisher, know that. They have to be playing hungry. They have to be playing like they're there to win, and they're the ones with the chips on their shoulder, and I'm sure they're playing like that now. Again, this game has been a little bit funny at times. We saw that ping issue early on in Mirage. I'm going to warn everybody now in case it happens again, because we saw question marks fly for about 5 minutes after that happened.
Yep.
There are some ping issues, not issues, but there are some players of a higher ping on both teams in the server, so we might see some more desync problems heading into the second map of Inferno.
Yes, hopefully we don't see as many ping issues in this second map as we did on the first, but it is online Counter-Strike. There's players playing from different locations, different areas. It's going to happen. So do expect some weird things to happen, and if you were watching the first map, you could probably guess who have the ping issues. But I think we're going to have a bit of a delay before we can get into this one here. There appears to be a medical issue. Oh, never mind. We're good. It got cleaned up. We're all set to go. So we're fine. We're playing. They're going into knife. So we'll be good to go here in a moment. But I think, too, on that note, to mention the knife round is something I wanted to bring up. Because whoever starts on a particular side is now determined by knife. It's not determined by who picked the map. And that basically makes it so each of these best of ones is like that third map and a decider. And the side choice can make a pretty big difference on how the score line is reflected, not necessarily on who wins.
Yeah, it's very interesting having a knife round to decide both best of ones. You know, I would have thought maybe a veto would go one way and then a veto another, and you could get the side picks from that. But it does make things very interesting. Maybe we'll see some knife strats come out this season. Maybe we'll see something wacky to ensure that teams do get their side of choice, because especially on certain maps, not so much Mirage and Inferno, but other maps in the pool, having that side of choice at the start can totally upend who wins that map.
I think that'll also be more of a factor as you get closer to each other's level, as you get closer to the higher echelons as well. It becomes a much bigger factor. But here we go. We're getting ready to hop into Inferno. And there we are. This map has been redone for CS2. As you mentioned, no skyboxes anymore. So the nade executes a considerable amount different. But here we are for the pistol round. M80 on the T side again. So they start on the T side for both Mirage and Inferno. Slight with a pair of dual Berettas here. No defuse kit for Wildcard. And that's what enabled them to win that pistol round. Nate was the diffuser. They won't have that now, which could be an interesting factor as we get later on into this round. But as it starts, some utility for both sides. Primary, though, M80 with a double flash and smoke on slacks. And the smoke and flash combo spread apart Slight and Stanislaw. Malbs ready to get some information up towards B. He'll be flashed away. And nobody's tagged, nobody's damaged, nobody's spotted just yet as MOTM gets ready to push on through.
It's going to be a duel towards Banana for sure. 3 players walking forward. MOTM finds the first. Malbs at tree is caught looking by MOTM as well. The new addition already proving his worth, dropping the bomb, and now this is an awkward choke point in which to fight 3 players here. One of them boosting up the other, if I'm not mistaken. MOTM, an awkward angle, but he has support, and Def is just trying to distract so his teammates can race towards A. It's going to be a wraparound, in fact. It's heard by Slight, but he's not going to force the issue. Sonic, though, disentrenches Def, and all the information's there for Wildcard. This should be their round for the taking. It should be their round to lose at this stage. Rek and Swisher think they have the element of surprise. They clearly do not. 3 on Banana, and 1 coming in from CT. They might get the bomb plant, but at this point, I don't see any chance for them to win the round.
The bomb plant's all they need. Extra kills just to give themselves more of an advantage into the next round would be good too. Swisher only able to get 1 before he drops. Rek 1 more. It's probably still going to be a force buy here from M80. It's not going to be as good as it would have been if they would have gotten 3 or even 4. But still, it's not too bad. Bomb plant plus kills. It's how you want your T-side pistol round to go at the very least. And so they accomplished that at the bare minimum. The lack of a kit does not harm the CT side either. So there's that. But M80 are not going to shy away from the force here, Nate. They're going all in. They're getting the buys up. The glills, the AKs getting all spread around. Very, very short technical pause there as we get right back live and ready to go. Swisher on the Deeg, no armor. Slacks on the Tech 9 with armor and all of that utility. Malbs, Def, and Rek with rifles. Slight better not be running only dualies. Okay, good. Triple MP9s and M4s. Depending on the range some of these MP9 duels are taken, M80 have opportunities to exploit things.
So do Swisher and Rek lack head armor. In fact, Swisher lacks all armor. So he could be chipped away very quickly by an SMG. And Matey, what's the play? Slow things down. We'll have 1 player getting aggressive in apartments. That's Swisher, who has next to nothing on his kit, so it kind of makes sense. But everybody else is waiting to play for picks. MOTM, I get flashed in to be alone. He needs to be careful here. Mobs is ahead of it. No, he's not. He's blinded. MOTM, a double with the assist from Sonic. Expertly thrown flash, and that cracks the round wide open. That drops weapons. Drops important weapons as well. Weapons they can't afford to leave on the ground. Players they can't afford to leave without finding vengeance. Slacks, Swisher, Wreck, trying to pick up the pieces.
It's a great little combo again from Sonic and MOTM. I think it's a great idea too by Wildcard to put two former teammates together on bomb sites to really secure some sort of synergy. And that's been working out very well for them. We saw it on Mirage, but so far on Inferno to a much deeper extent. Rec trying to charge on through. Sonic just playing from Pillar. Second Oranges will not be cleared yet. MOTM with a 4K now as he looks for the ace. Runs out of ammo, swaps to the USP, and finishes off Slacks with the Espus. Nice little ace from MOTM. And that's a welcome to Wildcard moment for him.
Yes, it is. In a very solid, fiery hot start on map number 1. It's no different from map number 2. However, the start for Wildcard very much is. They cleanly sweep the first 2 rounds. They don't get upset in the second. That is exactly what they need in this best of 1. Reset mentally. Come out the gate swinging. And maybe they can split series on the evening. Deagle's now across the board for M80. They're trying to just find some damage and leave their mark, but they shouldn't be able to find much success at all. Mob's 1 for 1. Slight also 1 for 1. Okay, things are getting a bit hairy for Wildcard. They need to be careful. Lock in. Find this round as you should. This upgrade for Def makes things very concerning. Potentially could snowball into an M80 advantage.
.3v3 is very winnable right now, especially if Def can find a pick here. Stanislaus going to go hunting. Comes down to timing. Both players dink each other. Def comes out on top of that exchange by 1 paltry point of health. But now Def has friends. They're coming up through brackets. Molly into pit from Def. He'll try and get some information on where players might be moving. Stanislaus engages with Rec. Despite being low, wins the first fight. And the second 2 onto Slacks. Stanislaus' lack of HP not going to deter him from success. Another low HP Def just has to avoid getting ticked once by the fire. He's got the Deagle in hand, looking for the headshots, but Sonic comes through the arches. It's a 3-0 lead here for Wildcard on the CT side, but now it's time for a buy-up from M80. If they can have more success like they did in the last round, but multiply that with the force multipliers that are the automatic weapons, they should have some success here and now. AK's out for the T's. Plenty of utility. The op for Slight, though. Like to see him go a little bit aggressive with that, Nate. See if he can take some fights either towards Banana, maybe go for an apps peek. It looks like he's going to go towards the A site here and go for a brackets porch side play. No?
Boiler.
Okay. I kind of like that with the op there. He backs off
been
early,
jumping
though.
in.
Yeah.
I like the idea, but backs off early, as you mentioned. There for the rush. MOTM still terrorizing Banana. Is there support from Sonic with the flashes? Mobs is boosted up. This angle is very niche. Swing comes in unexpected. The second player spotted. Mobs' spray. Absolutely sensational, even on the ping. They'll find the B site for free. The bomb will rotate in eventually once the Molotov subsides. And unless Wildcard find a pick quickly, that should be the round done and dusted. Slight smoked off. Caught through the smoke to add insult to injury. M80 should find themselves on the board in round number 4.
JBA up top on porch. Has Def as Stanislaus sprays down bulbs. Swisher also falling to JBA, meaning it's a 2v2 now as the hunt is not working out for M80. They're not going to get the round wild card. It's about doing damage to the T economy and staying alive, which at least JBA is still managing to do, although there is the hunt from Slacks coming in through alt middle. JBA is making all the noise, and Slacks now knows exactly where his prey is coming from. But the hunter is now the hunted. As JBA finds a way to stay alive, Rek has that op in hand. He'll drop that over to Slacks. But finally, they break open the goose egg, M80, get around to the board, try to scale this forward into more success. The economic damage dealt by M80 in the past few rounds has also forced Wildcard into a spot where they're not going to have the best of buys here. So they're going to force in. A win for M80 in this round almost secures them the tie scoreline at 3-all. But the MP9's ever dangerous. The FAMAS can do its damage as well. There's plenty of utility for the CT side here. It's a swing round right now in round number 5. And Stan going all the way down middle. Cannot spot Rek through the smoke. And so Rek will get a freebie and the entry to kick off this one.
Solid start. Still only the MP9 dropped, though. Still rifles to contend with. Def, though, is quickly getting control towards middle. There's only 2 players left. They're both trying to combine fire towards arch/truck side. It's the third rotation as well in MOTM. M80, they're stacking towards banana, but they don't have bomb. It's still all the way back in spawn. Sonic gets the information by spotting one player, but still could go either direction from M80. They're going for picks rather than for an outright take. Respect the call, keeping their options open. Wildcard, though, not biting off of all that contact, still holding their ground with 3 towards A.
Lane wrap, but Slight deals in the first around the truck. The second swing has JBA in the pit to back up his teammate. M80 going 1 by 1. And much like the ants, they're falling 1 by 1, but Malbs can be the difference maker. He takes out 2. M80's FAMAS, or rather MOTM's FAMAS, excuse me, mops up the last 3, and M80 hit the dirt. 1 man on the site, that third player alive. And the T side gets reset by that extra player on the A side. The double up and pit did so well, but they just could not unseat the last. And MOTM is leading the scoreboard across both teams by a large margin. Triple his next teammate's kills. And double Malbs over on M80. Def has the scout. He won't get peeked. I think it's a good choice by Slacks not to over-aggress, or Slight rather, to not over-aggress against a very possible pistol push. Now it's MOTM's turn to really turn on the jets and take over this game. So he's put himself in a position to do just that early.
He has. It's not let off the gas whatsoever. 4.0 KD. More than his... It was actually tied for the entire M80 kills. 12 for his team, not including himself, and 12 for all of M80. Wildcard playing the buddy system as they should. It's having 1 player spot towards B, non-committal. And it's paying off in a big way. Slight the final nail in the coffin. A clean and flawless one for Wildcard. A good sprint to start things off. They had that brief moment. They looked like they could be reset. You mentioned the swing round, but MOTM bailing them out. And of course now a very solid advantage, 5-1. M80 finally get rifles back on the board. But they need to get the ball rolling rather quickly. As we've talked about, this map is slowly skewing to a more T-sided map.
It is indeed, and it's not looking good right now for M80, but they still have some time to turn it around. Not much, but a little bit. Slight gets caught through the smoke by Def, just tapping. That's a little unlucky for the Wildcard op. Stanislaw will pick up the big green and take up his position too. That's a pretty gutsy play by Stan. He's lucky to get out of there alive. Taken down to 15 HP on more spray. 12 as he gets taken once by the Molotov. MOTM at sandbags. Nothing but an MP9 flashed. And Malbs will be unblinded first and unseat the sandbags man. Top frag on the server. Sonic playing around the pond. Does deal with the first. Moves closer around the smoke. Trying to take up a little off angle. Creeps on through. Def is quick on the trigger. Now the B side wide open. Only 1 player left for Wildcard in the form of JBA. That's going to be a certain save for him. as there's not really a chance he could pull off a 1v4 here. The bomb going down, and he will just await the eventuality of tick, tick, boom. Or rather, Swisher's going on the hunt here, and he might just be joined by Def as well. I don't think, though, for M80 they need to overextend. They don't have the money. They have less money than Wildcard right now. Just hunker down. If he comes to you, cool. If not, don't worry about it. You need to stay alive more than you need that kill.
Keep 4 up, build that T economy rather quickly. Although I imagine they might be rather keen on dropping the op. Don't think Wildcard will be able to get one in the following if they can do so successfully. I'm missing the utility for a bit of good measure. Swisher does successfully find JBA. The op contemplated probably won't be picked up. Oh, it will be. Swisher grabs it. Presumably as the death cam expires. That will give Slacks an opportunity to make his shots count in round number 8. He's had a very slow start for himself, yet to find a kill. And the op on T side of Inferno is a very difficult weapon to use.
It's a very bulky weapon to use on the T side of Inferno where everything is so confined. That's why, personally, I'm not a big fan of using it on the T side. Slight does pick up Maul, but that's a big player to take down early as well. A little bit of molly damage taken by both MOTM and Slight, but it's not really too much to worry about just yet. Very passive hold on the A site, but quick rotations coming through now from both MOTM and Sonic, leaving Slight and the op as the lone defender of the B site. 4 players to anchor A as M80 walk in with 3. Slacks lurking. The ops are lurking at B. The rifles all gathered around the A site. And the Moto side of things, if it's not smoked off, is going to be brutal for M80 to deal with. At least Wreck and Molly out pit. But the balcony angle for JBA can do so much with the MP9, especially if you can pick up a rifle. Def takes first contact, though, gets forced away. And M80 are calling it quits on the A side. Take a fast B rotation coming back from Sonic as well. He's got to go fast here, Nate. Def's lurking, and he strikes into MOTM. That might sow some confusion, but at least it deals with one of the rotators. Op v op, duel to entry, and really determined. It's won by the rifle instead. Now Slight can strike. It's all down to Swish, and Sonic has his teammates back. 6-2, a dominant scoreline early. As we get towards the end of this first half now, Wildcard in full command of I guess best of 1 number 2.
Yeah, of the second game. Totally 2 separate games, but they are in control. The driver's seat, 6-2. Again, we mentioned it's been skewing more T side the longer this map has gone on. Historically speaking, not in this specific matchup. Wildcard have done well to get 6, and probably 7th, honestly. And maybe we'll try to hazard something together, cobble something together in round number 9, but it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be very rough around the edges. A Galil, 3 AKs, Slacks, I think dropped one of those weapons, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like it. He's going to go for a Tech 9 and some utility. The utility is good all around for the T side, but weapons still leave us wanting. Slacks on a Tech 9, Mobs on a Galil. Wildcard, though, also making a concession. That's JBA on an MP9.
Fast banana aggression halted. The lurk from Swisher and Apps finding no aggression so far. MOTM backed up by Sonic again, who has that secondary op, gets naded down to 39 HP. Takes a shot, connects on Malbs through the wall. Another bit of damage taken by Malbs. He goes through. The smoke will ward off any further pressure. So the mana advantage remains with Wildcard as MOTM escapes the fire and the flames. He'll struggle to carry on, but he will at least maintain that. They don't clear top of porch! And so Wreck gets double dinked by JBA. This round, again, a disaster for M80, as this half has been essentially a disaster for M80. I would expect a timeout to come through on the next gun round, but the scoreline is getting far too wide here. And M80 have let it get on too long.
Yes, they have. Pusher finally finding one, but there's too many targets. Can't win the second duel. He's tagged low. It's still doable, though. Def finding a second on the slight. Okay, now things get interesting. Players on both sides on low HP. Stanislav trying to play an offing on site. Good for one. Good trade, though, in kind from Swisher. 18 seconds left. The bomb will finally make its way into the site and hit dirt. Sonic has rotated in, but he is also low on HP. Boosted over the smoke. This could make or break the round. Op trying to find it. Saw the smoke, but could not hit the shot. That might just seal the round. Yeah, the health is just the critical factor. There's no utility to cut off sight lines. There's no utility to finish off Swisher, for example. It might just force Wildcard into a save. Sure, they've been winning rounds, but their economy is not in a healthy state.
Yeah, they gotta stay alive. M80's been doing the economic damage, but they finally get something back on the board. I think at this point, M80 are gunning for a 4 or 5 round half. But it still doesn't seem to me that 4 rounds might not be sufficient. 5, it's close enough. Pistol round victory or win the force buy in round number 2, the half gets you back into it. But M80 are still in a very tough spot. And Wildcard have been able to find ways to keep M80 from stringing rounds together. And that's the biggest issue, too. The fact that M80 have not been able to string a round together here. They've all been isolated. And you're not going to generate success if you cannot string rounds together, if you can't find it in bunches. They're all islands. You can't turn it into an archipelago chain. It's just going to be individuals all alone. And an opening pick from JBA, double down, too! That changes the scope of the round again. The young gun going aggressive. Catching the timing out through bedroom. Puts 2 to sleep. Slight goes forward as well. Has only the Tech 9 Slacks to deal with. And the nade will keep Slacks from really running him down. Slight repositions back towards balcony. Misses the next shot. And Slacks will have to back away. Def falls to JBA in the interim. And so 1.5 V5 for M80. Another round that looks to be isolated in terms of their victories as JBA's on for the ace. We saw one from MOTM, and now we get JBA to find the 5K. 7-3 for Wildcard. That's 2 aces for one team in one half.
2 fiery individuals atop the board for Wildcard. 13 for MOTM. JBA catching up quickly at 11. Slight and Stanislav, and Sonic as well. All doing more than enough, in my opinion. It feels like Wildcard across the board are outclassing M80 in this one. Bulbs has had his moments. We saw that double entry towards B to get their first round on the board for M80, but as you mentioned, they have yet to get the ball actually rolling. Right when you think they might finally get it unstuck, finds another spot to get stuck into. Swings towards Banana. Wildcard are feeling it. 2 kills for MOTM, a third for Stanislav. Swisher's low, might be done in by the grenade. Not quite. But he won't find anything for his troubles. The last alive is Wreck, and this should be a succinct end to a succinct round. An 8th on the board as well for Wildcard, barring a crazy 1 versus 5 with a Tech 9.
If the 1v5 happens, Nate, which it doesn't, I would expect a Wildcard timeout.
Have to expect one at this point. Guaranteed. If there's not one, then it might just be done and dusted.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue for M80, though, is the fact that their individuals are not performing. You got MOTM on 16 kills. JBA had his ace 11. 7 on the rest. The triple S's for Wildcard 7-5, 7-5, 7-3. Slacks 0-9. Yes, he is dealing with very high ping. But I think a big part of that problem, too, is the fact that he's been trying to op on T-Side Inferno. Opping on T-Side Inferno in ideal conditions is never fun. It's not easy. And he's not facing ideal conditions. Far from it. I think that's been part of his personal issue. But the rest of the team, 7-5-5-4, and down goes Wreck to the op of Slight. Another round where M80 start down a man. It's just the same problems plaguing them over and over again. MOTM, a nice little crispy headshot onto Def. Swisher, at the very least, takes down JBA, but that's small consolation and small price to pay. can at very least get a 3v2 advantage on a site take, but having to clear through the opposite slide here. The timing of Stanislaw, that's a gift! And Swisher cannot quite capitalize on the third contact point in Stanislaw from behind truck. This has now become a winnable situation if Stanislaw cannot get the second. Malb's taken down so low, though. He's going to have to hit nothing but headshots. And while he's capable of it, a lot of pressure to put on the player, and he's going aggro as well. He knows one's coming through the smoke. He slipped the gap. They don't know he's there. Malbs is outplaying them. He knows they're on site. They're not looking. He misses the one. He got the one tap for the last. What a play by Malbs. A messy spray, but there's a clean tap on the finish. Malbs goes insane to get the fourth as we head to the break.
M80 found a way to recover a fourth round in the dying embers of the first half by virtue of a masterful play from the likes of Malbs. The question is, can they find more? I'd say this pistol round is a must-win at this stage, given the 4-8 start on their T side. It's Pineapple, Phillips, and Boggs to bring you the action. And a set of double dualies for Rek and Swisher. No kit present, but there's a flashbang for Slacks, who, as you pointed out in the green room, Boggs, is yet to find a kill. A rough start, and that start is no better for his team. JBA beheads Rek. A second fares no better. Depths out of the round. Flash from Slacks to try and find some inroads, but at this point the site has fallen, and he'll just have to try and find a kill out of sheer desperation. None will be given to him. Slight finds the frag as the smoke blooms. At this point, it feels like curtains on this pistol. Wildcard have made it look clean and convincing. Swift as well. Bomb hits the ground. Swisher and Malbs. 2 you'd want in this situation, but still with no kit. There's not a lot of breathing room to work with.
The lack of a kit pretty much torpedoes the round, and that kill from Stanislaw on the backstab does even more. JBA, the hat trick on the pistol round, all headshots for him. A sparkling performance on map number 2, or I should say game number 2, compared to Mirage earlier, just a little bit ago. But M80 going back to their tried and trusted force buy. Will it find its true mark, however? That pretty much decides the fate of this map for M80. If they can't find the pistol or this force buy, they go down 11-4. 7 rounds down. Wildcard need 2 to seal the deal. It is a far cry from even a somewhat reasonable situation for M80 to recover from. So this round pretty much is M80 putting all their eggs in this one basket. They have a little util. They have the scout on Def, who did come up with a pretty incredible no-scope headshot to start their run back on Mirage. But I don't think that's something they can rely on twice, Nate. They need a little bit more security, and that is not the start they needed. Again, losing that first player, Def domed by Slight. And it's Wildcard is waiting for the pushes here from M80. I think it's a very disciplined approach and a very good one there. Just allow M80 to make the mistakes to come to them, as Wildcard know that they possess the superior firepower and weaponry. Eventually, Wildcard will have to make a move.
They will, but they know M80 are the ones that are getting desperate at this stage. We saw some peaks that could have been exploited. Like the idea from Wildcard. Slow things down, wait for picks, group up, and go from there. I was going to say, Stanislaw needs to be careful, though. He was in middle. He's caught by Slacks, who's now on the board. Talked about players getting heated with some compromised weapons. Maybe Slacks has finally entered the server. Light, though. Drop Swisher. Eagle of Mobs as well misses its mark. It should not be long for this world. Caught on the swing by from MOTM. Rek does get 1 in the chaos, but not nearly enough, leaving just Slacks. The near silent opera in a 1v3. He's going to try to save this scout, Kevlar, and 5-7 for the following. Wildcard are going to find themselves 3 rounds away from splitting best of ones this evening versus M80.
Splitting best of ones with an emphatic victory, at least it looks like an emphatic victory on Inferno. Of course, M80 can bring it back a little bit here, but they're going to run out of time pretty quickly if they don't start posting rounds here and now. They're going to lose this one, get Wildcard at double digits, and for Wildcard, it's a great response. They don't get daunted. In fact, their individuals step up incredibly well. MOTM stellar, sitting at a 3.0 KD right now. JBA not too far behind. Pretty much everybody on M80 quiet as mice. And unfortunately for M80, they have no Muad'Dib.
Had to sit in the 4th row of the theater to watch that one, Bugs. It's truly in the trenches.
You know, I haven't seen the second one yet. I just recently watched the first one. So I could have made that reference just from the book.
That's fair. It's a banger.
It is a very good book.
Scout for Slacks. The only thing they have to desperately cling to in this round, barring that 5-7. Actually, a second one invested as well. Scout will work for 1. Still an uphill battle, to say the least. Everybody from Wildcard is positive in terms of KD.
Yep.
It is just across the board and outclassing right now.
3/5 of their team are at a 2.0 KD or higher.
Yeah, Sonic's at 8-4. JBA and MOTM, no doubts there. 14-5 and a 3.0
kill
from
from joining the party.
It's absurd.
Utter domination.
Loose for Rek. This is a good setup to try and rebuke this take. JBA, though, starts things off right. Rek, though, in the chaos over top finds 1 in response. In fact, it's Def on the pistol, the USP, to find another.
And look at the damage to MOTM.
Yeah, Modem's low, and also look at the player in sight. Someone's around the smoke, sowing some chaos. This is very doable now for M80. They could find a way to get a 5th on the board in this round. Rek catches MOTM getting overly assertive, and Slight is known to be towards oranges, or at least speculated to be so. Tagged.
They know now.
That should be the round. Yep, that should be it. Jumping up his Slacks while in the air, he'll find the headshot. Then M80 find a way to stay alive, but the bigger question, Can they string 2 rounds together? They have yet to do so in this map.
That's a good round to start things off with. It's a round where they came into it with next to nothing, and they find a way to find victory and cut the deficit to only 5, double their score. But if they can make a performance on the CT side, it's their favored side. Won't say it's definitely the easier side. It's pretty even these days on Inferno, but this is where it all has to start. String this next round together. Don't lose more than 2 people. Wildcard will probably go for a half buy, depending on whether or not they get the bomb down. And from there, let's just take it 1 round at a time, claw back into this game, and try and draw level. It's possible M80 have the ability to do it individually, and it starts with players like Mobs finishing those kills instead of coming up close, which only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, which would have done in MOTM if thrown well. Speaking of MOTM, he's just going to hang out top of under. And the rest of Wildcard is also just going to pump the brakes here. They're waiting for M80 to get aggressive, but M80 don't seem to want to oblige. They're taking things easy themselves, chilling out in the back, and Mobs is just the guardian of Banana right now. Oh, the timing! He could have caught Stanislaw over top, sprays away, won't catch MOTM either. The bomb still bottom ramp as well. Wildcard did not know where they want to commit. That's another smoke to delay a push. Slacks, however, sticks his neck out. And Slight wins that offers duel. Man advantage to Tease, and Onyx up in brackets. Def, however, wins that one pretty clean. Good response there, and time's ticking down very low. Wildcard have to make a play, and they're leaning B.
Yeah, our Swisher's kind of on an island. He does have some support now. It's Mobs. There's no utility on these belts. They're going to have to win it by duel. Swisher, a good double. There's Mobs peeking in, finding one, spotting the op as well. Slight's not long for the world. Caught by the jumping Swisher to add a bit of flair. They do string 2 rounds together. They do also reset the economy of Wildcard. There is a realm where M80 come back into this. They should have a 7th here at this point, pretty much guaranteed. It's going to be a near full save from Wildcard. They can win the next rifle round. If they can weather the storm that will be round number 18 and keep it rather clean to build that CT economy, they're only a hop and a skip away from tying things up.
But are they a jump away too?
No, just a hop and a skip. 2 rounds.
Yeah. Hop and a skip. A lot closer. Don't even have to go through the effort of jumping. Because if you think about it, the jump is the most strenuous of the 3 processes. Nade kill? Not a kill from Sonic? He loses the fight to Def, who did not have anything ready for that response. Slight gets traded out. It's all JBA and Stanislaw now. If Def goes down, that turns the round. It's a gun for Sonic, and maybe more. But once that domino falls, the rest soon go in suit. And only 1 casualty for M80 is good for the CT economy, which is always hanging by a thread. Buy-in again by Wildcard. Timeout used from them as well, but this is the jump round for M80, Nate. Then they just have that skip and a hop that can convert this one.
Yep, this is the jump. You are absolutely right. See Wildcard look to make it the longest jump possible by taking that tactical timeout. Wish we got to see how Mobs fell in that round as well. He did get Zeused by Slight. Wish we could have seen that.
That would have been fun. Zeus is recharged now, too.
They recharge, and the sound they make is heard by everybody.
Yep.
So you can shoot it off and spawn, drop it somewhere funny, and there'll be a random sound playing like 30 seconds into the round.
That sounds like something you would come up with, Nate.
Seen a lot of it in the Premier games that I've been playing recently.
Leads to some of that in mine.
Zany hijinks, let me tell you. Zany hijinks.
Although I am definitely going to steal that.
I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Aggression middle, through the smoke they come. Slacks double zooming at the exact wrong time. Slight finds one, Stanislaw the second. Both line up. Def and Slacks sent reeling. Reknos through it all. He's towards porch. He's found a double in response in rebuttal, but Slight has picked up an op and rotated all the way around Arch. He misses the shot, Somehow Rek is the rock they need. He's the one to give them a fighting chance. Slight won't miss the second opportunity, but Rek is still kicking. He's in sight. MOGM, JBA trying to double clear out. They do so successfully, and that leaves Mobs. He had a solid first map, but he's not going to have a chance in this round. He's caught by Slight, who's using that recovered op in hand. 11-7. The jump is failed. The players do not pass the hurdle. And while M80 will have another rifle buy on deck, they're hanging by a wire. If they lose 2 more rounds, Inferno will fall the way of Wildcard.
So what? M80 stumble at the jump, but they have a couple more opportunities to bring it back here. A little bit of utility used down towards middle. There is one in alt. That is Sonic. Nade down Banana. A little bit of chip onto JBA. But M80 need to be very careful. It all went bad for them when they lost the 2 up top middle, though. Slacks gets timing on the double scope, and then just this pop through the smoke exploded in. Mobs going aggro, though he knows there's multiple players. Good flashbang there. Actually, I think that was a team flash that blinded at Mobs, and Swisher just peeks down. He gets domed. Def is also on side. They're not ready for this. And he will finally get spotted. Deals with only 1. If he got the second on a stand, there was a chance, but now it's all up to Rek in a 1v4. And young Rek Monster is not going to have to commit to this. He does a significant amount of nade damage to JVA. He doesn't know that. That's unconfirmed. And so it's up to him to try and save an M4 into the next round, which will be quintuple match point for Wildcard, which gives them a fantastic opportunity to salt this one away, shut down M80, and go 1-for-1 with one of their biggest rivals in the region. Rek, blind, escapes into what used to be called library, which now I guess you can call it wine. Winery.
Wine.
Wine is
tasting room, perhaps.
But winery is more classy.
It's 3 syllables. It's a lot of words.
It is. That is a lot of word.
It's a lot of word, a lot of time. Personally, I just like to whine.
I thought you were going to leave out the 2 and just go with 2 words there.
Yeah. Go wine cellar, wine barrel.
Tasting
Roll the 7.
Also, I think that was a good idea from you.
Yeah, there's a couple little benches there, a little wine on the table, but
Counter.
Artisan facility for sure. Slacks on the scout. Gives M80 something to show in this round in the early going. Still a long way to go, however. Only have 3 rifles on hand. Rek actually did very well to save an AK, might I add. Didn't notice that I missed the chaos. I was too busy worrying about the term. That is a big boon that could bail them out in this round, round number 20. Slacks still on that scout towards the middle. He's the only one peeking brackets, though. He needs to be careful. Wildcard are going towards A. There's 3 players here with that rotation from Swisher. Pressure's on Rek. He's the only one with a rifle proper in hand. He's going to have to be the rock for his team yet again.
Don't underestimate the MP9 in this kind of a location. This is prime MP9 feeding territory. Team kill from Stanislaw, too. And there's that rifle. Here's the MP9 from Cubby. Can't quite get the second on a stand, but it's a 1v3 for the in-game leader of Wildcard. Unless something goes horribly wrong or is horribly misplayed by the CT side, they should at least survive for another round here. And it is not misplayed. Rek does well to finish the job. 4 rounds the deficit. And only 2 casualties means nice buys here for M80.
Tactical timeout used. Makes sense. Rek's becoming an active star at this point for M80. The one that's really bailing them out. So he's the one that they need to disentrench. He's been rather consistently on that balcony and or in that pit. So they can either pivot around that or punish it. Wildcard should have a round, and that's all they need, just 1 round to close this one out. M80 still far from out of the woodwork. They're going to have an MP9 for Slacks. Less than ideal, but the buy from Wildcard is even more haphazard. They have 3 Tech 9s, 1 op for Slight, who's actually made it work quite well on the T side, might I add, and their star MOTM is on an AK.
Pistols, Tech 9s, run in, get your headshot, upgrade your gun. Very viable on a map like Inferno, where it's close quarters in a lot of situations. Slack still relegated to an MP9 as well, although I don't think that's a problem with his ping. Very slow round again from Wildcard on this T side. They like to wait it out and explode late. Look for those aggressive plays from the CT side that yield them opening kills. Slacks might just give it to him too. Sonic's got the molly out. He elects to move away. Pin should have been heard though, and that's some information there for Slacks to communicate to the rest of the team. Def is over on Arches alone. Rek also in pit. Talked about Rek being an anchor, Nate. He's one of the best in the region. He's been very good at his job in the CT half. They're going to have to call upon him again here as all of Wildcard geared up for this A-side execute. And Def is rotating to B off of no information. Oh, he's rotating to... No, he is? Oh, no, I don't like this at all. I do not like this at all.
It's not good. Goes towards Arch as well. The undefended position, that smoke should tell the 2 players towards pit and balcony what's going on, but can this actually be stopped by depth? The answer is no. MOTM, good shot with the AK. As the arch wrap opened up, Swisher now has to do a lot from Church. 2 players racing forward. They haven't necessarily committed as of yet. In fact, it's a bit of a fake in actuality from Wildcard.
Look at the time. They have no time.
10 seconds left. They had to go for this wrap now, and Rek on site couldn't just buy enough. Finding the first, not the second. The player on balcony can't do enough either. 5 seconds, the bomb will hit dirt. And Malbs combined with Swisher, a duo we've been talking about, we've been hyping up a lot. Has to now bring it back from the brink. M80. Swisher down to 21, taken down with a second shot from Slight in follow-up. The last alive, Malbs, high ping. He's at a lackluster map on Inferno. Can he bring it back at a 1v4? We saw the clutch in the final round of the first half, but this seems like too much to ask. The first pass, not the second. Sonic on the swing is too quick with it. 13-8 in favor of Wildcard to match the scoreline exactly from map number 1. 13-8 for M80 on Mirage, 13-8 from Wildcard on Inferno, and we do split best of ones on this evening, Boggs.
2 of the heavyweights in this season of ESL Challenger League going at it for their first games of the season. They split the difference down the middle, 1 map for each team. That means neither M80 nor Wildcard will have the opportunity to go flawless in this season of ESL Challenger League. I wonder if we'll see a flawless team this season. Speaking of, especially now that M80 has lost a map. But the man of the match is, of course, the man of the match himself, MOTM, 118 to 67 ADR, tying Malbs with that KD at 1.92. Nate just slightly missing the kill death, 23, 12, and 12. Massive assists for Ian as well. But what a welcome statement for MOTM in his first, or I guess his second map with Wildcard.
Yeah, second map, technically second series as well, because it's 2 distinct best of ones, but it was in the same evening, it was back-to-back, and it was against the same team, so you could, in essence, call this his first outing with the roster. It is a very good thing to see from him, the confidence already springing through for him, his team playing around him quite well. It proves that he's slotting in on this team well. I think a little bit more team play can be integrated with more time, but I'm seeing nothing but good things coming from this Wildcard team with this new addition.
I agree, and him and Sonic already having that repertoire, having played together in the past, that gave them already a foundation to work with. Now just getting JBA, Stanislaw, and Slight folded into the mix, and you have yourselves a pretty positive improvement here for Wildcard with the addition of MOTM. But that is going to wrap things up for us tonight, folks. We'll have more North American Counter-Strike tomorrow, though. Same place, same time. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Daylight Time, as we are on the time change now. But on behalf of Pineapple Phillips and everybody here on the production team, my name is Boggs, and I'm wishing you all a very good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.